guest is Bruce Wasson, who's one of the petitioners supporting the county doing an assessment to find out if Altadena should have its own school district. And AUSD now, Altadena Schools is all over town. We've seen all over Altadena. We've seen these yellow and black signs that say Altadena Schools, sign the petition, get the review, get the facts. And I note you're wearing your Altadena Schools button. And so what's this about Altadena Schools?
Well, the main objective of our over 130 volunteers actually is to close the academic achievement gap in Altadena. That is number one, our primary goal. The formation of a school district in Altadena is really just a tool that's a component of that. So number one, we want people to know the size of the gap that we have, what that means to our community and the outcomes that are available to the vast majority of the kids we have in our town, and what are the methods for actually closing that gap in a short period of time. Once our community begins getting its arms around those methods, then forming the school district makes a whole lot of sense. But apart from those methods, actually forming the school district is not particularly compelling, because while small is better, when the gap between your low-income majority, which is what we have attending our public schools in Altadena, is as far as it is from our middle class, a little bit of an improvement really doesn't mean that much. So we really want to be about the full justice pursuit of closing the gap in every grade, every subject, every school.
So how does an Altadena Unified School District come about?
It instructs the county to go ahead and commission a feasibility study to make sure that an Altadena Unified will be viable and correct under state law.
Right now you're collecting signatures.
Right.
You need X amount of signatures. I think I heard you say 7,000.
It's about 6,500 or 25% of the registered voters in the last gubernatorial election.
Okay, but you're going for 7,000.
Correct.
These signatures will not set up a school district.
No.
These signatures are to go to the county.
Right.
Saying what?
They say, we, the undersigned, want to form an Altadena Unified School District. The fact of the matter is that once the county receives those signatures, they need to commission a feasibility study that will examine 9 separate criteria to make sure that those criteria are met before it can go to the voters to vote.
So, do you have a question? You have a comment?
I
You
have,
want to
I have two
agitate,
questions.
or you're just going to be cool?
I have 2 questions.
Two questions.
First is, what is the gap and how do you close it? And the second question is, some of my neighbors I've been talking to ask me, well, how are we going to make a better school district if it's just going to have the same kids attending it? And can you address that?
Yeah, no, great question, Shanti. The first question, we have the gap that we've been speaking of. There's about a 50 percentile point gap between our middle class students in Altadena Public Schools and statewide, as a matter of fact, and our low-income majority, which are about 2/3 of our 4,000 elementary and secondary school kids in Altadena. What that gap really means is a couple ways of looking at it. By the end of the 3rd grade, only 1 in 3 of our kids is proficient in English language arts, which means 2/3 are not. By 8th grade, to point out another little fact, less than 1 in 20 of our kids are proficient in algebra, 8th grade algebra. So we have a situation where our kids, no matter family background, start out pretty much the same, but quickly start diverging rapidly in their academic performance. The thing that's critical for us is we've got a small but growing list of public schools throughout California that have closed that gap, and that list grows a little bit each year. The things they do in the classroom and in the community to close the gap are the same. Studies are showing they're all doing the same things. And 2 out of 3 times they're spending less per pupil than we are here with Pasadena Unified. So if we can embrace those methods, we get to the answer for number 2, the second of Shanti's questions, which is, how could this be different? And that is that if we can advise the community on what those 100-odd things are that consistently close the achievement gap, and can get our community rallying behind particularly the governing best practices, the things that a board employs to close the gap, then we can be about the other 2/3 of the 100 things, which are the retention of faculty that has really shown a dramatic, verifiable ability to close the gap and attract them home to Altadena.
I do know that our students at the bottom of the list can do as well as the students at the top of the list. They only have to have that concerted effort and people who have determined that they can do well, and they will.
And if I could add, Shirley, one point, we can take what you said, not just on the basis of faith, but on the basis of the schools with even more of the kinds of demographics that we have in Altadena who have already closed the gap. It is because of them there is a 50-point gap between us and them. It's because of them they are doing just as well as the middle class. So we need to be about those very repeatable practices in the classroom and in the community that cause us to close the gap in a few short years, which is what they have done. This is not a 20-year effort. Closing the gap in the elementary grades is 3, 4, 5 years long.
This is what I wanted to say about one statement she made. I wanted to add to it about expectations. Now, we should always have high expectations for our students, but we need to have expectations from high expectations from our teachers, from a high-level administrators, from the superintendent, and from the community. And it doesn't mean that our children cannot achieve, like you said, Shirley. They have potential, and they can really do well if they are encouraged and if we have high expectations for them.
But you had a point just before I interrupted you. That's what I do here. I just interrupt.
It's quite all right.
Yeah, okay, good.
I have a lot of points in mind, but the one I was trying to get to was picking up on something that Maurice just told us about what she did going around to the various teachers and helping them with reading. The number of educators who actually do this extraordinarily difficult work of closing the gap, and we should not underestimate how hard it is to do that, are a tiny fraction of those who talk about it. So I hope as part of all the efforts that we're doing in Altadena, people start to recognize those rare few educators who actually do close the gap.
I cannot leave out on any discussion of education and schools is the role of parents. Now, I mean, I know that's not part of your petition gathering and your volunteer encouragement, but I just, there's certain things that compel me to open my mouth. Okay.
It is a little bit, because what's really interesting is, if you look at like where my son goes to school in Altadena, at Altadena Public School in Altadena, and you look at the behavior of the educators there towards my son's peers, both in general ed and special ed in that school, and you realize how very easy it is to think you're doing a good job in the community, in those households, and really you're just alienating the people. So we want people to understand that is a critical part of best practices,
yes,
and you can't just import teachers from a high-functioning district like La Cañada and expect success.
Well, we're pretty much involved. You saw them all the time. It was sort of a family. Mm-hmm. And I think that makes a huge difference when the educators know the community and the community knows them, and open house does not quite get it, or back to school night doesn't quite get it, because you use the word alienation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It really is a very exciting effort when you realize how many people, and we've learned this by going to now 5,300 Altadena voters so far, how many people share with us our belief that this huge gap, which creates these terribly constrained outcomes for the majority of our kids, is no longer morally, economically, or socially acceptable. It just has to stop.
What were you telling me, Bruce, about the prisons checking on the reading level?
Yeah, this is another sorry statistic that in case you can't really get your arms around what is a 50-point achievement gap, we have the federal prison system calling schools like ours in Pasadena Unified every year to say how many of your third graders still can't read. Because they know that by the end of the third grade, if you're not reading, you probably never will. It's a sad statistic. But they use that metric as an input to their forecast of how many prison cells to build out 20 years from now. So we've got to close this gap.